Hello, Gemini. Getting ready to do a love reading for you for February 2023. I'll be using the Akashic Tarot today. Some folks have asked about this deck. It's beautiful. I love the images. I love the messages. I'm going to try to clarify with some other cards that I'll show you in just a bit. Spirit and Angel Guides. Keepers of the Divine White Light. Keepers of the Akashic Records. What are the messages for Gemini, please? Love messages for Gemini, please. Thank you, Spirit and Angel Guides. Thank you, Ascended Masters. What are the Akashic messages with regard to love for February, please? And of course, this message is meant for you whenever it finds you. Messages for Gemini, please. Thank you, Spirit. First card out, Four of Scrolls, the Karmic Trench. Second card, One of Scrolls, On Track. Third card, the number 4, Major Arcana. And I believe this is pronounced Beeth, if I'm remembering correctly. Pardon me. On the bottom of the deck, the 5 of Roses, the Garden. The deck that I'll be clarifying with is the Everyday Witch. I'll show you that as well. It's also a favorite deck of mine. Beautiful, beautiful images. And it's basically the Rider-Waite with a few different interpretations, but all good and beautiful imagery with witches as the icons. Thank you, Spirit and Angel Guides. Clarifying the Akashic Tarot reading for Gemini. Keepers of the Divine White Light. Keepers of the Akashic Records. What are the messages for Gemini, please? Clarifying 3 cards for Gemini. Thank you, Spirit. Clarifying the 4 of Scrolls. 10, the Wheel of Fortune. Fortune's Wheel, yay! Clarifying the 1 of Scrolls, On Track. Number 3, the Empress. You are on track for fertility, for abundance, for abundant love, Gemini. That's the feeling that I get right away. Clarifying the number 4, Beeth. The number 2, High Priestess. Magic and mystery, and you are bringing it about. And on the bottom of the deck, the 6 of Cups. I'm going to try to read and interpret these in unison, Gemini. I appreciate your patience. I am reading from the guidebook for these cards because there's so much information with the Akashic Tarot, and I don't want to leave anything out. So I will read the Akashic Tarot card and then interpret the second clarifying card. Your first card is the 4 of Scrolls. The Karmic Trench. Pardon me, and again, thank you for your patience. In a field meant to be planted, a man, dirty from his efforts, stands knee-deep along a trench. Inside a long trench. The seeds wait to be planted, yet he continues to dig deeper and deeper. There are other rows plowed and ready for planting, but they are ignored. This card reveals a difficult pattern in your life, a pattern of self-defeating feelings, thoughts, and actions that you've brought forward from previous incarnations. You returned to this life with the intention of breaking this karmic pattern, but you got pulled into old thoughts and behaviors. You've been digging yourself deeper into a karmic trench that gets harder and harder to escape. This pattern is not unknown to you. You recognize it in your relationships, your jobs, and certainly in your beliefs, behaviors, and responses. It's time to take charge of your karma by altering the inner ideas, feelings, and patterns that cause you to make sabotaging choices. Every time you notice yourself making an old choice that digs you deeper into your karmic trench, you can change your mind and your actions. This will require your conscious effort every step of the way. Without such work, you could go lifetimes burying yourself in the same feelings. But with your commitment to making changes every day, you can dig yourself out. The Akashic Force for this card reads, take a moment to remember an old negative pattern that you know all too well, one that has kept you stuck. Close your eyes and breathe in the presence and power of your higher self. You become stronger. You are filled with the will to step out of the mud, and you do. Now and every time you fall into this pattern again. I've gotten this card before myself, Gemini, and I know it can sting to hear about us digging our own hole deeper and having to release those karmic ties and karmic patterns. And so I believe that the Wheel of Fortune is intuitively saying that, you know, what goes up must come down. So you are getting out of that karmic trench. And since this is a love reading, you know, the wheel spins upward as well. So from the rest of the reading, from what I see, it's definitely on an upward turn for you. So let's move on to the next card for you, which is the One of Scrolls, on track with the Empress clarifying. The One of Scrolls, on track. I'm going to zoom in a little more because there's so much detail in these cards. I wish that I could get super close up without losing any of the other imagery. A man at a train station looks over his shoulder at the signs that point to other tracks. But he has already looked at his maps and made his decision. He lifts his foot to step onto the train. Though travel or a move can be indicated by this card, the meaning is often about your choices and directions. You may have been ambivalent about taking a certain track in your life with regard to a project, a relationship, a career directive, or even a location. But now it's time to decide. Even if you're not quite as assured as you'd like to be, the engine is smoking. There's a direction that compels you, so get on board. You will not falter. The Akashic Force for this card reads, take a deep breath and say, I'm back on track. Feel the clarity of that declaration and let that energy fill you. As the state of readiness moves through you, sense just one simple action that will realign you with your purpose. And clarifying that, the Empress, abundance, fertility, creation, creativity, new beginnings, in my opinion, in love. I will just look quickly and just consult the Everyday Witch just for a moment to see, because they have this book has the least little snippet that actually wraps everything up, in my opinion, so nicely. And for this one, it's the divine feminine is in all of us. And she, of course, is abundance, nurturing, and female power. So with these two cards being on track, if you haven't made a decision where you're going, which direction you need to go, you're making it, Gemini. And it's one of divine power. The next set of cards for you is Beeth and the High Priestess clarifying. Beeth is actually one of the major arcana of the Akashic Tarot. And of course, it's a beautiful card that signifies birth. Which is amazingly goes right along with the Empress, in my opinion, and being on track for something. So it is pronounced Beeth. I've made some notes here in my guidebook. Thanks for your patience again. The sun shines upon a plain in England, where stands an ancient henge in the distance and a grove of birch trees nearby. Upon many of the trees is carved the old Celtic Ogham letter Beeth, which represents the birch tree and stands for birth. You see that marking on the tree? That's all it is. So there you go. Whoops. A beautiful woman walks forward carrying a basket, while two children run happily toward her. With this card, it's time for a new start, perhaps an actual birth, or at least a metaphorical one. An old phase is passing, and a new one begins. But even this new beginning has its roots in your deepest histories in your past lives. There may be some labor involved, but it's a labor that bears fruit. This card is associated with fertility, sensuality, and motherhood. There may be new energy in a romance, the family, or the home. You could be giving birth to a creative project, too. Whatever it is, celebrate. Prepare for the wonderful growth and opportunities that are about to come. You have a beautiful reading, Gemini. The Akashic force for this card reads, close your eyes and imagine yourself stepping into the proverbial pregnant moment. Feel the creative forces popping and sparkling within you and around you. What would you like to create with this energy? And clarifying that card is the High Priestess. And she is a woman of mystery and magic. That higher wisdom is available to us all. Seek knowledge from within and without. Birthing creative new ideas, new love. I usually read the final cards, which are the ones that are on the bottom as well, Gemini. I just feel like they offer additional guidance, so I'm going to do that for you as well. The Five of Roses is the Akashic card, the Garden, and it was clarified by the Six of Cups. The Five of Roses reads, two children play in a sunny, lush green garden. A boy shoots a slingshot while a girl next to him watches a butterfly in the flowers with a magnifying glass. If children aren't a part of your life already, this card could show their arrival. It also could indicate that your children, even adult children, could become more of a focus for you. They may have some concerns of their own, but even so, opportunities for things to mend come easily right now. There also may be a real change and benefit for one of your children who has made a special effort recently. This is a very advantageous time for children around you. Enjoy it and help them enjoy it too. So this also says, whether upright or reversed, you can look to the adjacent card, the one toward which the boy is shooting and the girl is looking, which in this case would be the karmic trench card. And it says you can get more insight on the children around you and their issues. Apply the details in this and people in this nearby card to the present and future children in your life. So perhaps there are some issues, karmic issues related with your present or future children, that one or both of you may need to work out. Because this card was actually to this side. And the Six of Roses clarifying, the Six of Cups clarifying the Five of Roses. I apologize for my dog barking in the background if you can hear him. He may see a squirrel or a cat outside. The Six of Cups, of course, is usually in the Rider-Waite deck is one of generational love, sometimes of, I believe, of giving equally, sometimes the smallest gesture. This is read from the Everyday Witch guidebook. Sometimes the smallest gesture made with no expectation of return can touch the heart in profound ways. And so that goes perfectly with the love of children, I believe. In my case, at any rate, it does. Giving love freely with no expectation in return is the only way to love children and to love others and to ourselves. Difficult as it may be sometimes, I understand. But you take that as it resonates with you, Gemini. Your reading was beautiful overall, I must say. You pulled absolutely beautiful cards about creativity and birthing of new love, new ideas, and it looks like many beautiful things on the horizon for you for the month of February. I'm going to close out your reading with a couple of affirmation cards. The first is from the Universe Has Your Back deck. Spirit and Angel Guides. What's the affirmation, please, for Gemini today? What's the affirmation, please, for Gemini today? Affirmation card for Gemini to close out this reading of love for February. Thank you, Spirit and Angel Guides. Thank you, Ascended Masters. Message for Gemini. When I focus on my inner light, I see the world through the lens of love. That's a beautiful message, Gemini. Beautiful message in and of itself. The final message for you I will be pulling a card from the Work Your Light deck. Thank you, Spirit and Angel Guides, for the messages today for Gemini. Thank you so much for the beautiful messages for Gemini today. Beautiful February. What is the final affirmation for Gemini, please? Final affirmation card for Gemini. Thank you so much, Spirit and Angel Guides. Final card for today. Another priestess for you. Wow, you are magical. How are you being called to step up and lead? I'm going to read this as well. Again, I apologize if you can hear my dog in the background. The final card, Priestess. How are you being called to step up and lead? The Priestess is a teacher dedicated to service, freedom, and leadership. You don't need to have it all together to lead. In fact, it helps if you don't. No one wants a perfect angel who hasn't made any mistakes. Let your life be your message. Don't underestimate the power of sharing your story. It's by hearing someone else's journey that we feel less alone. We realize that we're actually all in this thing called life together. The difference between a follower and a leader is that a leader has the courage to go first. In stepping out, they shine a light on the path for others to venture forward to. Don't fret too much about trying to work out who is your tribe. Don't get stuck in age, income, hobbies, or occupation. The best way to discover your tribe is to look in the mirror. If you feel called to lead, chances are it is because at some point in your life you longed for someone to lead you. Your tribe are longing for exactly the same thing as you were and are, and might only be one step behind you. Hell, they might even be right along beside you. You don't need anyone's permission, just the courage to stand up. Embrace your struggles, the peaks, the troughs. You don't need to know the way. Just believe that there might be a different one. Did you pick that up right there? Did you get that? The troughs. Two different decks. Embrace your struggles, the peaks, the troughs, the trenches. You don't need to know the way. Just believe that there may be a different one. Your tribe is waiting for you. Step forward so they can find you. The Work Your Light inquiry. How are you being called to step up and lead? How can you be the leader you wish you had? Gemini, this has been my reading for you. I hope that you have enjoyed it. If you liked this reading, please like and subscribe. It is greatly appreciated. And I will see you in the next one. Love and light.